I have to stress here that this is not how I planned for this video to go. I've covered the first 3 movies on this channel, and so of course I had to check out the series. Originally, this was meant to be a silly reaction video to the weird Pitch Perfect show. Unfortunately, the show is so incredibly boring that I had virtually no reaction throughout the whole show besides asking myself, why Bumper in Berlin? To be honest, we all know the real reason we got Bumper in Berlin. Universal needed a hit franchise for their new streaming service Peacock, and couldn't get back any of the main cast of the original movies. Now, what Elizabeth Banks might tell you is...
Well, we're always looking to bring more Pitch Perfect to the fans.
Right.
We really were looking for a way, though, to expand sort of the universe of Pitch Perfect. Honestly, we took a lot of our inspiration from the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yep.
And specifically what they did with like Loki,
Right.
and taking a villain from, you know, the family, and giving him an entirely new world to go have a great adventure in.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
I'll never get why we have to keep going in this vicious cycle of everything trying and failing to build a cinematic universe. You know why that worked for Marvel? They took their time at the start, just made good movies around characters that people loved. People actually like Loki because he has depth and that character has evolved over the years. Can the same really be said about Bumper from Pitch Perfect? Of course, I wanted to give the show the benefit of the doubt. We've seen from shows like Steven Universe, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist that musicals can actually work really well in television. However, Bumper in Berlin just doesn't hit those marks either. Let's take a look at the series to see why it just doesn't work. Also, I should note here that the reference footage I'll be using for this video is from my own viewing of the show so that you can see just how much fun I had watching. So just like the movies, we start the series with a musical number that's actually mildly entertaining. After which, Bumper gets a call from the only other cast member they could get from the movies, Peter from Pitch Perfect 2. Peter invites Bumper to come to Berlin after a TikTok he made went viral there. I don't know why I didn't see TikTok reference coming here. It's after this that we get the intro to the show, where I have to commend whoever had the confidence in the series to add that season 1 bit on there. Cause boy, I wouldn't have. After that, we're introduced to the rest of the supporting cast, Heidi and Thea. Heidi is Peter's assistant and Bumper's love interest throughout the first season. Thea is Peter's sister and a famous music producer that they hope will help blow Bumper up in Berlin. Their initial plan is to get Bumper to perform at the Unity Day Festival where all of Berlin will be watching. Of course, about halfway through the episode, we have a liar revealed moment where we learn Peter is an outcast in the a cappella world and Bumper isn't TikTok famous in Berlin. So, we're 15 minutes into this show, and you're not really giving me much to like about these characters so far. Bumper already isn't a likable character from the first couple movies, and now you're also telling me Peter's a liar? Anyways, it's then revealed that Heidi actually writes music but is too scared to perform it. Wonder where this could be going. We end the episode with the introduction of this season's antagonist, Gisela, who steals Bumper's song and makes him run off, ending the episode. Not an amazing start to the series, but it's the first episode. Those are always a little weird. Let's keep going. Episode 2 opens with a fun musical number between Peter and Bumper that gets a little too goofy by the end thanks to whatever Bumper's doing here. With his regained confidence, Bumper performs and wins the crowd over. However, Thea doesn't produce cover artists and asks Bumper to write his own original music. Where have we heard this idea before? Good thing there's a songwriter on this team that's too scared to perform in public, right? Of course not, because she doesn't actually give him permission to use her song for his demo. While he hesitates, Bumper still ultimately uses Heidi's song when recording a demo with Thea. Are you starting to see my problem with these characters and the writing? We are only 2 episodes into this series, and we already have 2 liars revealed at this point in the plot. Also, I hope you like this new original song they wrote, because you're going to be hearing it a lot. Episode 3 is where I began to realize that each episode opens with a pretty fun musical number that tricks you into thinking you like this show. Of course, Bumper blows up from this new hit single, and the guilt of what he did to Heidi starts to weigh him down. As they begin to prepare for the press junket, Bumper eventually admits the truth and it blows up in his face. While Heidi and Thea attempt to do damage control in Bumper's career before his admission of guilt gets out to the public, Bumper and Peter go out to have a drink where Bumper performs a Pitch Perfect staple. Not the cuff song. Realizing he needs to clean up his own mess and not leave it to his friends, Bumper takes matters into his own hands with another classic, the riff off. Here he faces down with Giselle, where after winning he admits to the crowd that Heidi is his songwriter. This one was arguably the most entertaining episode of the series. Here the characters actually bond and are kind and enjoyable with one another. The riff-off is fun, we love to see music in a musical show, but don't get your hopes up, as we still have 3 episodes left. Unfortunately, episode 4 breaks the streak of opening with a fun musical number. Instead, we open with Bumper's career once again on fire as Gisela fires back with a hit music video. Thinking Bumper needs one of his own, Peter and Thea take him to their abusive father, who happens to be one of Berlin's most famous directors. During all of this, we have some artificial suspense as Janella tries to recruit Heidi, which we all know she's not gonna do. Meanwhile, the Bumper gang impresses Klaus with an impromptu performance of Barbie Girl. Of course, with this newfound fame comes the end of Act 2 fighting among our main characters as Bumper puts fame before his friends. Don't worry, it doesn't last long. It was also at this point that I started watching the show at 1.5 speed because it had already been 2 hours and we've made no progress in this story. It's still just Bumper tries this, doesn't work. Bumper tries that, doesn't work. But like I said, of course, Bumper ditches Klaus and chooses his friends, shooting their own music video while Bumper realizes his feelings for Heidi. Oh hey, look at that, the opening musical number is back. I wonder if episode 4 was just the episode out. It wasn't. In this penultimate episode, Bumper attempts to impress the Unity Day judges while we have yet another falling out from this group of friends. Of course, after some drunken shenanigans, a sad musical ballad, and a trip to the hospital, Bumper gets the inspiration to write his own song this time. Of course, the group makes up in record time, and Bumper performs this song to a crowded Berlin market in a last-ditch effort to win over the judges. Though it works, Bumper has served his deportation papers, leaving us on a cliffhanger for the finale. Alright, the big one, the season finale. We're starting off with no musical number, so I can't wait to see how this goes. Bumper can't perform at the Unity Day Festival because he is being deported due to a lack of a work visa. While things look hopeless, Bumper and Heidi do share a musical number and further reinforce their feelings for one another. Heidi attempts to solve Bumper's deportation issue by suggesting he marry Thea for citizenship. After a very public, and I'm not so sure how official, marriage, Bumper is allowed to perform and admits his true feelings for Heidi. Of course, stealing the ending from Pitch Perfect 3, he doesn't perform alone and brings the whole gang up on stage for one last musical number to end out the season. So why doesn't this show work for me? Well, my biggest issue with the show is that it suffers from what I call the Disney Plus problem. This is the current issue original Disney Plus series have been having, in which they are obviously written as movies, then broken up and stretched out over a 6-episode event series. It's pretty clear this series suffered the same fate as the same plot points repeat themselves over and over for the 3-hour runtime that could have been 90 minutes. This series also just doesn't work because there's not enough music for a musical series. Most people don't go to a Pitch Perfect movie for the plot, they're there for the fun jukebox musical. However, Bumper and Berlin's musical numbers are far and in between, with the same original song being repeated almost every episode in some variation. It also doesn't help that Bumper and his gang aren't the most likable or lovable characters. Bumper is an antagonist of sorts from the first Pitch Perfect film, and then a minor love interest for Fat Amy in the second. He has no characterization or redeemable qualities in those movies, so not a great pick for a main character. All of these characters also spend so much of the series arguing, stealing, or lying from each other. While part of it is due to that runtime issue mentioned before, it still doesn't help these characters to be any more endearing. Lastly, the Pitch Perfect franchise are comedies. You can go in and expect to laugh at least a handful of times within their 100-minute runtimes. Here, the jokes are either not funny,
all you need to do is ask yourself, will I am, or won't I am? My God.
or too far and in between. That being said, there is a potential as shown by some of the jokes that did get a chuckle out of me.
I got nothing to lose. You know what's waiting for me back home in America? Just my cat. Oh, my cat. I've got to call someone right after this.
And that's it. That's Pitch Perfect, Bumper in Berlin. Was it the worst thing I've ever watched? No, but it could have been so much better. Well, now that it's over, I guess we can say goodbye to the Pitch Perfect universe for now. Okay, I'm as surprised as you are. I don't know who else watched this thing, but apparently it's Peacock's biggest original comedy series. So let's see what we can do to improve this show for season 2. Like I mentioned before, musical shows have worked and even thrived in the past. The reason that they can do that is that they're not so restricted to just one narrative. Shows like Steven Universe, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist may have connective tissues between episodes, but almost every episode also stands on its own. I feel a move to a more episodic approach would benefit this series. I also think the show needs more music. The parts of the show I had most fun with are the musical openings of episodes 1 through 3. At its core, this series is a musical and should embrace it. I get that licensing music is expensive, but they've got to find some way to get these singers to sing more in this show. Also, I don't think it would hurt this show to get a little flashier with musical sequences. Looking at shows like Crazy Ex-Girlfriend and Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, those musical sequences are heavily choreographed and have a spectacle to them. Most of the singing in this show is done at a piano or on a stage in front of a microphone. Even in the Pitch Perfect movies, the Bellas and Troublemakers put on big flashy shows during their performances. Finally, and this might sound a bit silly, but I think the show needs to embrace what it is and lean into the spin-off aspects of the show. The creators claim it was to expand the Pitch Perfect universe, but it's more the same characters doing the same thing. The show needs to follow in the footsteps of Fuller House or the recent iCarly reboot. Show us how these characters have grown and how things have changed. Get literally any of the Bart and Bellas or Skylar Astin to show up for an episode or two. Like my friend Phil even joked about during her Pitch Perfect 3 reaction.
I'm ready for Bumper in Berlin where Becca's just Beyonce.
Oh my god.
It's like the most famous person in the world.
The creators could really take this show as an opportunity to have fun with these characters in the musical genre. And those, my good friends, are my thoughts on Bumper in Berlin. If you watched this show, or had any interest in seeing it before this video, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you liked what you saw here and want to see more, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.